introduce our special guest of the evening on Below the Belt Show, an up-and-coming young actor, Joseph Poliquin. Joseph, good to have you. They call you Joe
Yeah,
for
you can call me Joe. You can call me Joe.
informally buddies or okay, Joe Poliquin. My gosh, we just watched Greyhound on Apple TV Plus. Wow, what a film! You must be so
Right.
proud to be a part of this great war film.
Oh yes, indeed. It's unbelievable. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life.
Wow. Well, first of all, let's talk about just working with the legend that is Tom Hanks. I mean, everyone in the entertainment industry strives to be the next Tom Hanks, or just to even work with him. You know, um, your thoughts, I guess, being on set because you guys are in close quarters on this ship. You know that
Yeah.
you're shooting on, which pretty much majority of the film takes place on the ship. Tell us about just working with Tom.
Um, I mean, where do I begin, man? At first, I didn't even know what my part was going to be in the movie. I didn't know if I was going to be working with Tom or what was going to be happening. I went to boot camp. Of course, once I did a 15-page audition and got a call back, I was like, "Oh, boot camp to go be in a Tom Hanks movie? Of course, absolutely. What Jeff Dye's going to be teaching me?
Right.
Absolutely. I'm not going to miss out on this." So I showed up to boot camp. Tom Hanks wasn't there. It was just us. But there was like these actors that I was starting to recognize, and I'm like looking around. And I'm like, wait, I know that guy, and I know that guy, and that guy. And then I realized quickly that I was the only guy here in boot camp that I didn't recognize from something else. I was like, what is going on, man? Yeah, so they told us our positions. They came up to us one day with some tape, and they just put tape on our back, and it had our jobs on the boat, on the ship. And then they taught us everything they could about a Navy destroyer in such a small amount of time because they didn't want to overwork us in boot camp for the fact that the people that were getting thrown into the war in 1942 didn't have that much preparation. So they didn't want us to be
Wow.
over prepared for it. Yeah, it's crazy. But I made lifelong friends, and then the first day we met Tom Hanks, he just walks on the set. And do you guys curse on this show?
Yes,
We
we
Oh
can
yeah.
do.
curse.
You can
Okay,
say
so
Oh
whatever
he
the
yeah,
fuck
walks
you
out.
we're
want.
He,
well
he,
into
he
that
gives
at this point.
the first thing he says, dude. He walks out. He goes, "What's up, fuckers?" This is the first thing that and it was like from that point on, it was like the family member that I never got to meet in real life. He's been there throughout my whole family, like inspiring me to love and just create and just and
Yes.
he never knew it. And then one day I get to meet him and work with him, and I told him, I said, "Thank you so much for casting me on your film." And he said, "Oh, thank you, Pelican. I'm just glad they're letting me make it finally."
So Tom is a writer producer of this film as well. So he was actively involved with the casting process. So
Yep.
he saw everybody's audition tapes. I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, he told my agent, make sure to tell Joseph that we picked him for his talent and not because he was local. And I think that meant more to me than anything else.
Right. Because so you're a Louisiana-based actor, yes?
Yes, sir.
And a lot of the shooting took place in Louisiana. So I'm
Yep.
glad they're giving the local town of Louisiana a chance to shine. So
Thank
that's
you.
incredible.
Yeah.
Awesome. The fact that Tom Hanks handpicked your audition tape is pretty rad, man. I think that's really cool.
Man, thank you.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts. I will say, I got to the point in my life I was living off my buddy's couch for a week. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and I'm like, man, I've been trying this acting thing for a while. I really
Yeah.
hope that something breaks. And I prayed about it, man. And I got a call the next day from my agent, and she was like, "Hey, Tom Hanks is coming to town, and he really, he's looking for anyone who's got any military experience." I was like, well, I don't have military experience, but my grandfather was a Marine.
There you go.
My whole life, he's always been a Marine. So, I mean, that's there,
What
And
what were you
they're
able
like,
to
"Well, would you
learn?
shave your head?"
What
You
were
what?
you able to learn from your grandfather as
Oh,
far
well,
as
like I already knew that the salutes that you see in most movies and stuff, like they're not real.
yes.
When you see someone salute like this and then they push their hand away from their face like really quickly, that doesn't exist. That's actually insulting. And I already knew some of that stuff, so that
Yeah.
helped me. Even though we didn't they didn't keep a lot of the stuff that we shot for character building purposes. They actually cut Rob Morgan's parts, my parts, Stephen Graham's parts. They cut so many parts out of the film because they wanted it to look like it was an over-the-shoulder Tom Hanks experience. Because that's how the book was written.
Ah.
They
Yeah.
So
and my
the
name,
so you
my
had a
name.
lot more dialogue we didn't see.
Oh, a lot. They cut like 5 or 6 like deep scenes, like some funny stuff too. I was like a comic relief character, But
Yeah.
when I saw the finished cut, I was like, he's right though. I come in with this dialogue that speeds the ship up, and then the rest of, if you've seen the movie, I don't want to spoil it for everybody,
Yes.
but like the big
Myself and
chunk.
Jesse has. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. There's a big chunk of the film where the acting is all in our faces, like the people on the ship. Like the guy next to me, his name is Casey Bond. He's an amazing actor. He's the main baseball player in Moneyball, and he's going off about the rudder directions, and everyone else around him is silent for a good like 10 minutes, just giving them different like moments, in our face. And
Right.
even though they cut out so much of the stuff we had like shot, like there's a scene of me humping the engine telegraph at a point. Like
Oh my
that's how
gosh.
yeah, it actually went that far at one point. And they were like, pretend like the telegraph is the booty. And it was just like the funniest,
Do you
craziest time on scene on
do
set.
you think the comic relief would have taken away from the
Yeah.
film?
I think
Is that
so. I really do.
yeah? Because you had that moment where you were whistling, right? That was you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
In fact, you remember that.
and they
That's
told you
cool.
stop making that noise.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that. I'm ready, man.
so,
Yeah.
so I can imagine that's kind of where they were taking your character. But yes, for the overall film, I think the comic relief would have seemed a little out of place.
Yeah, it would have. And I'm not going to say anything else about the other scenes, even though you guys have seen it. But other things they had to cut because it was PG-13. And you might know what I'm talking about if you go back and watch it a few times. You might notice like that they really shied off on some things because it's PG-13. And but I still don't mind. I'm still like I'm so happy to be a big part of it, and just it's crazy, man. It's insane.
That is
Yeah.
amazing, man. Tell us about working. Oh yes, Jesse, go ahead.
It's my favorite kind of movie. It's bottleneck action. It's a solid 90 minutes, and it's like we're stuck in one location. Get from there to there, and that's the whole movie. Like Dread 2012 was like that. Assault on
Oh, really?
Precinct 13. It's like it focuses the action into one place, so it's constantly tense. Like I
1917.
literally watched this
Definitely.
afternoon as soon as I got home from work, and I was just like I was blown away by it. Like, and I'm the big film guy on the podcast. I have another show where I talk about film and film film language and film production.
Oh
So
yeah.
if I'm saying it's really good, it's good. It's
I
genuinely
appreciate
amazing.
that.
I really loved it. I
Yeah.
really love this movie.
The fact
That's
is,
so
it's
cool.
a war film that it's 90 minutes because
Yeah.
Right.
most war films are like the Irishman length, two
Oh
two
yeah.
and a half
Yeah,
hours to
they
three
push the
hours.
length a
Do
lot.
you know why they
Yeah.
decided to make it an abbreviated war film as opposed to a long epic?
Well, honestly, I talked to Aaron Schneider the other night.
Yeah.
We had a cast meeting, and it was a great meeting. And he told me, he's like, oh no, we didn't cut much out of it, and the whole cast like just got quiet on the Zoom chat because we all knew they did. We all knew they did. He was like, but the script really was written to be 94 minutes, and the reason why they kept it that way, like they had some things they cut, just a few things, and a lot of character building. Like just like Rob Morgan had a scene where him and Tom's characters talk about how they already knew each other before they were on the ship. When I saw that was cut, I was like, wow, that's a big scene to cut from this film.
Yeah.
They did this purposefully. They knew, hey, and Tom even did one of the interviews he did that was a promo for the movie. He said, you can't have your watch, which is the captain's watch, governed by this nagging feeling of, am I wrong? And I was like,
Yeah.
he's talking about the way he's doing this film. It's a lot different than when people think. And I think that if you guys watch it multiple times, you might start noticing that, like, I saw Apple post. I search on Google for the Greyhound like videos all the time, and I'll put the search settings under the most recently posted. And the day before Greyhound was released, Apple uploaded 5 different versions of the film, and they all have different running times by like a few seconds.
What?
Yeah, and it's just proven. You can go look at this. I took screenshots of it too because I was like, what? I couldn't get over it. I was like, why would they upload so many
Well,
versions? So it's just like this rumor floating around that there's
Yeah.
a slight
I
difference to every
for
time you
your
watch it.
sake and for all of us, I think it would be great to see the original longer film with all of your scenes intact because we do
Oh
want to
man,
see yours, Joseph.
like
We
I
want
really
to
do
see
think those
that
scenes would
comic
have really.
relief. Yeah, yeah,
It
no
made too
doubt.
funny. Made too funny. Yeah.
Talk to us about, I guess, shooting on this ship. I'm reading here it's from Montreal originally, from the Montreal Navy. Um,
Um.
I'm not sure if that's the case from the article I read. But how did they? I guess I'm sure. I'm assuming a lot of CG effects for the water, but tell us about how the ship was set up for shooting. Curious about that.
Well, most of the ship shots were for extras and exterior establishing shots of the ship. Or if you ever see the front of the ship, they get on little boats and they pull it around the ship because it's docked on the levee in Baton Rouge. And
Okay.
and I used to tour the USS Kidd with like my third grade and fourth grade classes doing like field trips. So I never would have thought I was making a movie with Tom Hanks on the ship one day in my hometown. I would have never guessed it, man. But like they pull these little tiny boats around, and the boats are pushing platforms. Then the guys jump off the boats onto the platforms, and they put up these giant green screens in front of the boats, so that when they're shooting on these cranes that are flying left to right over the boat, you're only seeing the front of the boat, and then the green screens are wrapped around it. It's genius. Man, seeing this stuff in real life, I wasn't even supposed to be there for the boat scenes because all of my scenes were with Tom on set, right? I wasn't with
Right.
the extras most of the time. We had a few extras with us outside the windows and stuff. That was it. The portholes. Excuse me. Sorry, Dale. But we had a few extras there. But one day I told Tom, I was like, "Hey, man, we're coming. You know, it was the end of the 3 month stint, and we're getting close to the end of it." And I went, "I would love to see you guys filming on the Kid one day. It looked like it'd be epic. I've been seeing pictures, and the cast are showing me." And he was like, "Yeah, you want to get on there? Okay, sure." And they just put me on the schedule one day, and I wasn't even supposed to be working, but they're like, "Well, just for in case." That's how he got it
Yeah.
away. He's like, "Just in case we need you." And, just to see what it's like, and he like brought me in. So I was pretty much, it was that awesome scene with Will Poland where the Vasco goes by and it almost, I'm not gonna give it away, it's a great spot.
Oh
and,
yeah.
and and he goes,
We can warn
"All
our
head
listeners.
full." He said, "All head full." And Will Poland's just like stunned in fear. And he goes, "Son, you heard the order." I love that scene so much. That scene, like, it was such good acting from Will in that moment. It was just, oh, it was epic. But that, I was pretty much just there for him to run in, look me in the eyes, and scream the order to me. And I'm like, "Yeah!" Just like screaming it back. But I'm like, Tom just got me here so I could see him shooting this. This is cool. I was like, he's such a good dude.
That is awesome, man. Um, dude, I, you got two other huge movies. I guess we can kind of pivot to those because we can certainly go back to Greyhound a little later. But my gosh, you have a film on Netflix. I just saw this trailer, Project Power, with
Mm.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Jamie Foxx.
All right.
And this is so rad. I mean, you're going into superhero realm with a little bit of Matrix thrown in with the pills and everything. Uh, but please tell us about your role in that film. I guess you're playing a stoner type of character, which
Yeah.
I think is awesome.
Uh, you did a great job at introducing me, but we got to give credit to Dominique Fishback. She is the heart and soul of that film.
Okay,
She's
yes,
a
yes,
new up
please.
and coming
If I
queen of
forget
cinema.
anybody, please throw them out.
Okay, we'll do, we'll do. And yeah, she's a queen of cinema. She's a great
Yes.
actor. She's an amazing actor. And I think that everyone's gonna love this movie. But yes, you're right. My character's name is Indo, so his name is obviously named after Indica. So it's just a funny character already. He's hilarious. I can't tell you what I'm wearing in some of the scenes, but I think you guys are gonna love the costume they gave me because it just fits this character. This is unlike Greyhound. I'm not a man in armor and like scared to
Yeah.
go into someplace. I'm this punk college kid, But then I still get to bring in some like really gripping like moments, and then I have fight sequences. I'm not gonna explain that.
What?
There's so much I can't tell you about, but I can say that
This
it's
sounds
just
like a
such a good film.
pretty. Sounds like a pretty sizable role. Yes.
Oh yeah, well, God, I wish I could say
Oh,
why.
you can't really you
Yeah.
can't allude to it.
Uh,
Okay.
I'll just maybe I can get away with saying this definitely. If they, I don't know if you guys noticed, they credited us at the end of Greyhound in order of appearance, which is really good. It was in my favor. But if this movie credited me or credited us according to appearance, I think we'd be so happy to see that
Oh,
because
nice. Okay.
it's an epic film,
That's
man. And I will say that like Netflix does it right. I've never seen Netflix do an original film that they didn't put their heart and soul into. So they were always on set, making sure everything was going well. And from the start of being on set, I had this feeling. I was like, this is gonna be something that people are gonna love watching over and over and over. It's gonna be like a Marvel film that wasn't from Marvel. It's gonna be like
Mm.
Netflix's. I
yes.
wouldn't even doubt that it's so good that you want to see more in the franchise if there is one. I'm sure.
Yeah.
How was Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman
God, they're the best. I've never worked with two
working under
directors
them?
back to back like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, and
Mhm.
they do that. They direct together. So I've never worked with two directors back to back. Like, so one of them gives you a pointer, and if the other one's not around at that very moment, you gotta be ready for what's coming next. Because The other,
Dude.
like Errol would come up, he'd give me a pointer, and then Henry would come up, and he'd give me a pointer, and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta pay attention to both of these things, and they're completely different than what I was like. So this pointer he gave me is already heavy, and I go, okay, I gotta make sure to bring that to the scene. But then he gives me this one, and I'm like, oh, what? So you get into the scene, and you're like, okay, from the start of it, you have to remember both of these very important things and
Yeah.
all your lines for the scene and the emotion. Do I want to make this funny? Do I make this not funny? Is this supposed to be me panicking, or is this me, engrossed in our motive? And it gets so like intense. And then after the scene's done, you gave such a good performance because you had like four eyes on you at all times instead of just two in the directing chair, and it just crafted something awesome. And I told them, I was like, man, working with both of y'all together, you guys are so good at not repeating each other. Like it's not like Ariel would come up and go, hey, I want you to make sure that you get off the bike like this and then kick the bike. And then Henry would come up and be like, hey, when you get off the bike, let's do this. So they were never competing or like combating each other.
Yeah, which is why they usually have one director usually, so that no one steps on
Exactly.
each other, unless they're
They
brothers, or
They might as well be.
yeah,
They've been
something
doing
like
this
that.
with each other
Yeah,
for 20 something years. They might as well be.
like the Farrelly brothers or the Russo brothers, things like that. But yes, that is so cool, and I just love the trailer, man. It just
Oh,
looks.
man.
I'm
Mm.
really,
Yeah, the trailer looks really fun.
really
Yeah.
dope, man.
Yeah.
If you could pick a pill, which pill would you choose, and which power would you prefer? This is theoretical because
Yeah,
they alluded to different powers on there,
yeah,
and
yeah. Well, with the Project Power, it's all that's the scary thing. You don't get to pick the pill; it's all the same pill, and you have a power inside of you don't know about. So when you take it, it's like
that's right. It's not
yeah,
the
you don't
Yeah.
know.
pill. It's
Yeah,
what's
so
inside you that
yep,
manifests
yeah,
that ability, I guess, right?
yeah,
Hmm.
man, yeah.
Huh,
So if I had to choose a power, I hope would unlock inside of me, um, God, man, the power of flight.
Mm.
I don't know why. I want the power of flight.
Yeah.
Like I just
But it
because
only
I
lasts.
hate planes. Planes terrify me. Greyhound. You guys saw Greyhound for that scene. The scene I will not talk about. For that scene, they flew me to New Jersey. I got off set at 9 p.m. and I got a call from the AD, and he's like, "Hey, you don't like planes? I know, and I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're going to New Jersey." And I'm like, "What? Okay, well, do I have time to drive?" He's like, "No, you got to be there at 6 a.m. tomorrow." I'm like,
oh
I would
snap!
have to get on a plane right now. He's like, "Oh yeah, your flight leaves in 2 hours." I'm like,
Wait, 2 hours?
yeah, in 2 hours, like no,
Oh
but
my
I'm
goodness!
just gonna say no. That was one of the coolest things because I was like,
So the
Tom
power of
Hanks
flight would have
scene,
helped.
right? So yeah, power of flight would definitely help me because I hate planes.
But you only get the power for 5 minutes, though, right?
Yeah, true. So I have to make
So you
sure
have to
like
time it.
stop it.
Yeah, you gotta
That'd be
plan
really
that really
that'd really
well.
suck if you're in mid-flight and all of a sudden, oh shit! Oh.
You might want to go the hyperspeed, I guess.
What about y'all? What power would you guys want?
Wow, that's a great question, man.
Oh,
I
I would say I would want to stop time. That's like my
Yeah.
Oh,
absolute.
that's so good.
Wow, but you can only stop it for 5 minutes, General.
Yeah, true.
Well, you can do a lot in 5 minutes.
But if you're stopping time, doesn't it mean that the 5 minutes is negligible? Because
Yeah,
if you
that's a
stop
good point.
there you go.
I
Oh
think
wow.
invisibility. If we're talking about the time frame of
Boom.
five
We'll
minutes,
have to if we get a premiere like an actual casual premiere,
let's
please
hope so,
COVID.
right?
If we do, then I would love to ask Henry and Rel that question. Like, if you could stop time, this is the question this podcast host asked. If you could stop time, but it only lasts 5 minutes, how does that work? Like that's a good one.
Yeah. So you have to pick very specific points in your life, I guess, General, right? That you want to stop time for.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think invisibility would be really cool for 5 minutes. I think you can do some really devious things or
Mm.
cool things
Yeah. True.
within that 5 minutes of invisibility.
You'd be
You'd be
don't.
blind. You'd be blind,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah, because the way your eyes see is that the light hits your retina. What happens if your retina is invisible?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Technically,
a
invisibility doesn't
theoretical,
work.
Awesome podcast.
Sorry.
That is interesting. That is interesting. Can you talk about on a personal level of working with either Joseph or Jamie?
I can say I did get to work with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he also goes by Joe, and he is a fatherly person. He always talks about his kids, and I'm such a big fan of his. All right, I used to watch
Yes.
the Third Rock from the Sun all the time. So
Yes.
God, I keep picturing him when we're working together. I'm just like, I'm not gonna say how it happens, but when he entered the scene with me, I just kept picturing him with long hair. In my head, I kept picturing long hair.
That is going way back.
Yes,
Wow.
you are. Wow.
But like, as someone who's always, our job consists on making the PAs have a good time, even if it's not laughing, making them think that we're very
Right.
professional and precise and very polite. So it's like when we're always having to stick to our toes, especially if we're in the comedy roles, we have to always make people laugh because that's what they expect, right? So we're trying to be this way, but then you worry, you're like, is there ever a moment that I just don't have to be like judged for what I say for a second, and I can just just talk about normal days, like, oh, the weather's kind of hot, and it not feel like someone's like, that's corny. You know what I mean? You get this feeling sometimes. But I'm sitting there, and here comes Joseph freaking Gordon-Levitt, walks up, goes, hey, what's up? And then he just starts talking about the coffee. And he's like, yeah, the coffee is good. It was pretty good yesterday.
I love
It
it.
was a pretty good day. I put an extra sugar in there. And then I'm just like, that's Joseph Gordon-Levitt talking about something that doesn't matter. I'm just like, it's so awesome. Like you don't always have to be on point, and you could just be like, I don't want to talk right now. This is just good coffee.
Yeah, and
It's all right.
talk about the most casual pedestrian things with
Yeah.
a celebrity.
If it's early call times, nobody wants to talk about anything.
No, that was late call time, but yeah.
Oh, please.
Yeah, there's that.
Absolutely. Coffee is so much needed, man. Well, I'm looking
It
forward
is.
to this. Comes out on Netflix. Netflix in August,
August 14th.
August 14th. So that's another film, man. You're all over, man.
Super exciting.
You're all over streaming platforms.
Right?
You got Apple
Crazy, man.
TV covered. You got Netflix covered with Project Power.
Sci-fi.
I'm curious about this other film because Happy Death Day was a fun film with Jessica
Oh,
Roth.
man.
And you're working with Harry Shum Jr. of Glee and Jay Farrow of SNL, Chrissy Fit from Pitch Perfect, a film called All My Life. And you're playing a cancer patient.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about this project?
Oh, I can tell you a lot about this project because of the fact that it's a true story. It's out there. If you want to learn the story, much like Greyhound, there is not much that was secret except for the things that he wrote in there that weren't in real life. So my character is based on, like, my character is one of the only characters that wasn't really part of the true story, but was based. I usually get those characters for some reason. It was based on things
Cool.
that happened with someone who may or may not have wanted their name or their likeness to be portrayed in the film. But I meet Harry Shum Jr.'s character in cancer treatment, and I mean, like, that pretty much tells you enough, about my character and about the kind of wild ride you're in for this movie. But I will say this: look at the cast. You got John Rudnitsky, you got Molly Hagan, you got Jay Farrow. It's directed by Mark Myers. He always does crazy like horror movies or like psychotic thrillers, like my friend Dahmer. So you're already like, wow, what am I in for? This is a movie that's running for the place of The Notebook. It's a true gripping story about a relationship of a woman named Jen
Yes.
Carter. Jen Carter is an amazing woman. Like, she's one of the nicest people I've ever met, but she's also just like, she went through this entirely just, I don't want to say like heavy hitting or hard to like live through, but like I want people to look up her story. I do, because if you were like me, you knew about her story. You knew about her story when, what was it, crowdfunding platforms at first, getting somewhere. They were actually helping people, and they helped her and her husband in this time of need. And that's what the story's about. How their lives changed millions of people's lives around the world with their hope. And God, man, it's a great story, and I can't talk about it enough. It's an amazing movie. And the
Awesome.
role I got, I will say this, dude. The role that I got at the end of the most heavy scene that I was in, Jessica Roth and Harry Shum Jr. came up to me and hugged me tightly, and we like all kind of like were crying together, and like, it was
Really?
pretty epic, man. Yeah, it was pretty epic, man.
That
Yeah.
is awesome. Jessica Roth, she's definitely very easy on the eyes. Whew.
She's a beautiful person. She's also got a beautiful soul, but like she's another person that when you meet them, there's like a family, like a family person. Like they love their family. They brag about like the little things, like their husband doing something so like sweet, but it's something we would hope to be able to
Yeah.
do for our loved ones. And it's just like, that's nice. She's not over here going, oh, look at me on the cover of this magazine. Look at me becoming this big celebrity. Look at me. She just talks
Yeah.
about the things that matter.
That is cool.
That
I
is
like
really cool.
That's really cool to hear that. So this released later this year from Universal. Do you think it will get the theatrical release, or do you think are we looking at a streaming platform for this film?
Gotta hope it gets theatrical. It deserves theatrical. So does Greyhound.
Dude,
Yeah, I never know.
how is
Never know.
Louisiana in general with the whole pandemic and just the day-to-day activities with you?
Well, we are mandatory masks on now, so if you go into any stores, you have to have masks on. But our public parks are open because our governor and mayor know that if you're not within 6 feet of anyone, then you're obeying the 6 feet apart, mandate. I always have my mask on me at all times, like just
There you go.
always, because you never know, like when someone new might just knock on the door and be like, "Oh, we're here to check your internet," or you go to McDonald's and it says masks only, and all the patrons are standing there waiting for their food. But then you see the people that are cooking with their masks like this. It's
Yeah.
like, what the hell's the point? We're the ones obeying the rules, and you got the people
Yeah.
working with our food not obeying the rules. So it's a scary situation. But I think Tom Hanks is the canary in the coal mine. I think he's a testament to how strong humans are, no matter
That's
how who
right.
or what
He was
tries
one
to
of the early
poison us.
people who got infected. That's right.
He was, I think,
64 years old and type 2 diabetic, and he survived it. What were you saying?
oh, well, I was going to say, I think he was the first known celebrity
Yeah.
to,
Him and his wife. Yeah, him and his
yeah.
wife. Yeah.
And that's why,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, Joseph,
Yeah.
Reed Wilson went to rap on a video to show people my lungs still work, man. That's so awesome. What are you
Go
saying?
ahead, General.
so Joseph, what would you rather have success in? Because I see you're also a musician. Would you rather have like a great acting career or be like a big rock star?
Oh, you call it, man. Rock star status is kind of scary. I don't really shoot for that, but I would shoot for like Jason Mraz of metal. If that makes sense. Like that's kind of what I'd hope for. Like I want to make a song that's heavy and has like crunchy guitars and double
Yeah.
bass drums, but then has like
Awesome.
a catchy chorus that you want to listen to at your wedding day and at your funeral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Do you still do you still record with your band?
I do, but my band is pretty much like my buddy Tevin plays bass with me, and he's
Cool.
actually off camera. My buddy Tevin plays bass, and we just get drummers to fill in because that's the hardest part,
Oh,
to find a dedicated drummer who's not going to become an astrophysicist or a doctor. So
Oh, you.
like they do, they quit your band to become
wow.
like underwater welders and stuff. You're like, but you were so good at drums. Like, yeah, but now I'm good at welding drums.
That's a very specific profession. You became an
Yeah.
underwater welder. That's very specific.
Hey, you can
Well,
make a
Calling them out.
great living as an
Oh yeah,
underwater welder.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt. Yeah.
what genre of is Henry V? Your band?
I would say it is alternative rock metal. Uh, Easy listening, I guess.
Heavy
Because
metal.
sometimes I just grab an acoustic.
Heavy,
Just
easy
imagine.
listening heavy metal.
Yes,
Sure.
it's two opposite sides of the spectrum. I
Pretty
could.
much. Hey man, I can easily listen to heavy metal. I can easily.
There you
I
go.
love
That's
it. I love it. I love it. Also reading here that one of your first gigs was on American Horror Story, and this
Yeah.
was the Freak Show season, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
indeed.
I saw that. Yeah, so no dialogue in the your featured background, I guess.
You see, I want people to know this too. Like
Mhm.
it's all part of how hard you work for something you dream of. So I didn't want to be an actor. I wanted to be an actor. Let me rephrase that. I wanted to. I didn't think it was possible. I wasn't pursuing it. I wasn't. I
Right,
wasn't a wannabe actor. Like you have to go from the phase of being a wannabe actor to like doing it. And once you
which
start doing it,
involves background work. Yes.
yeah. So this guy just told me, hey, they're looking for extras for American Horror Story, and I had been on set as an extra, and it was cool. And you get paid, and you get free food to just watch your favorite celebrities do their thing. And if you don't learn stuff from watching people make films, so I was always loving that, and I would take that back to like a YouTube channel and doing short films myself. But I
Yeah.
can't act in the short films that I do. So I never thought it'd be possible for me to be an actor, but I knew how the business worked so well that I was like, all right, once they picked me for American Horror Story, I was like, I'm gonna learn so much from the set. I'm glad like we got lucky. I wasn't just an extra on one episode. I was a background player. They called me background artist if they want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah. Core. You're a
But
core.
yeah, it was core background 105, and we were there
Yeah.
from day one to day zero, like all the way through the shoot for
Love
7 months. And the show was on TV while we were working on it, so I was getting people like contacting me like, hey man, I gotta know what happens next episode. I know you know. He's like, I know you're there. And it was just like I'd never experienced that before, but I knew I was just there to learn. And if I got lucky, and I did get lucky to get some good FaceTime with a machete in
Yeah.
the second last episode, but I was like, I don't need the FaceTime. What I need is this knowledge because I'm really starting to want more to act, and I'm seeing it as almost possible because I'm only 3 feet away from Finn Whitrock and Evan Peters, and they're having the craziest, most emotional scene in the season, and I'm right next to them. I feel this energy. So I was holding the door open for him, and we'd been working for a few weeks together at the time. And he goes, "What's up, brother? How you been?" I'm like, "I'm doing good." He goes, "You've been here for a while. You're gonna be here the whole time, aren't you? Your core?" And I'm like, "Yep, yeah, I am." He goes, "That's pretty cool." And he saw me staring at his foam hand when they
Oh,
were
look, he's a lobster boy. That's
yeah.
right.
And I have gauges, so I mean, I kind of love the fact that I got gauges and then became an actor because makeup always has to cover these
Yes,
for
yes.
period pieces like American Horror Story Freak Show, and so they had me in the makeup trailer right next to Evan Peters, and I'm just in the background. So like we were talking,
Yeah.
so I was staring at his hands that day, and he remembered that, and he's like. You were looking at these. He's like, "You want to feel them?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude." So I got to feel his lobster hands,
How
and they feel
cool, man.
like foam, like the kind
But
of foam you put on a keychain that if you drop in like the
but
water off a boat, it would float. Like
yeah,
things like that.
I'm reading that Evan and Kathy Bates are the ones that encourage you to pursue acting. Is that true?
That is absolutely true, man.
Really? What did they
I was like, I
say?
could be a background artist, as they called me. I was like, I could do that because I got picked up on. I had
Yeah.
I had what was it Hot Pursuit? I did an audition for that. They just liked my look and picked me. So I was like,
Yeah.
whoa! But I was in the scene. It was just us three, and I was like, whoa, this is insane. So after that had happened, I was like, man, I want to go for this. So I just started shooting the shit with them. I was like, man, watching you guys was insane tonight. I was like, I've seen you a couple weeks now, but like, you're my mom's favorite actor. I was like, and I think you're pretty good too.
Yes.
Watching you and Finn Whitrock tonight was insane, and I don't even know him. I was like, I don't even know Finn Whitrock at the time. He wasn't like huge
Yeah.
yet. So I was like, but he's an amazing actor. I was like, you guys inspire me. You make me feel like it's possible because I'm watching you do it. He goes, it's absolutely possible, brother. He goes, and I think you got it. You got it. If you want to do it and you have that energy, he's like, you got it, man. I think you can be an actor. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, where? I hate to be one of those token people like, hey man, where do I start? And he's like, you just gotta get headshots and an agent, man. And that should be your focus at first, is to get
Yep.
headshots and an agent. You might not get the agent because I ended up getting headshots, which you can just get those on Craigslist if you get a good enough
Right.
headshot photographer. It'll help
Absolutely.
you get an audition. And then I got an audition and got a lead role on Sci-Fi, and it was all because Evan Peters believed in me. Kathy
Wait,
Bates just said a bunch of nice things
wait.
about me, or
Which
two
lead
nice things
role?
about me.
Which lead role are you alluding to on Sci-Fi?
Hashtag Follow Friday. It's a film by the creators of Sharknado. So it's a
Oh
really cool indie film. You know what
yes.
you're in for, though, man. You
Yes.
know what you're
Follow
in for.
hashtag Follow Friday. Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
I'm the lead. I'm the lead male actor in that movie.
Oh
And
yeah, the college nerd who develops a website for amateur local detectives.
yeah,
Sweet.
as corny as it all could possibly be, it's
I
such a
like
fun role.
Sharknado, so I'm gonna have to check this one
Cool.
out.
All right, cool. Yeah,
I
I
love
mean,
it,
it's not as
man.
bad as I'm not gonna say Sharknado is bad, but they even say Sharknado is bad. It's like it's almost like the Sharknado team tried to take it serious in a bit, in a sense.
Yeah, that is awesome, man. Of course, my gosh, you're all over the streaming platforms. Well, right now, Apple TV Plus with Greyhound, currently at 81% critics and 79% audiences. That's
What?
very good
Awesome.
on Rotten Tomatoes, and I believe one of the highest rated films on Apple TV Plus, which is
Yeah.
another positive thing, which is great. They got to break the numbers.
Yeah.
Like Hulu's top film was Palm Springs, and now Apple TV's top film is your film, Greyhound. So you got to be happy about that, which is awesome. My gosh, man, we can't. We're so excited to have you on, Joseph, because we know your career is gonna just blow up like crazy now. This is amazing. You got All My Life coming out soon, Project Power on Netflix. So we
Yes.
really thank you so much for being a part of Below the Belt show. And if you could, before we let you go, let us know who you are, because I think I butchered your last name, but let us
Oh
know who
yeah.
you are, and also throw out your Project Power, All for Life, and Greyhound, and then let us know you're on Below the Belt and whatever you want at the end.
What's up? I'm Joseph Poliquin. This is Below the Belt. It's been a great podcast. You can find me at Instagram at JOESY_Pelican.
All right.
Awesome.
One more, if you can also throw out Greyhound, All My Life, and Project Power.
Okay, cool.
Or since All My Life is not out yet,
Yeah.
maybe just Greyhound and Project Power.
All right. You can find Greyhound on Apple TV Plus right now. Project Power will be on Netflix August 14th.
Awesome.
Rock on.
You tie that all together. Joseph, thanks for calling in to BTB Below the Belt Show. Thanks for calling in, man.
Hey, thank y'all, man. Have a good night.